Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Ready for some more horsies? Let's see. Nice and chilly outside. Brisk 25 degrees. So I think we'll stay inside today. All right. See how many I can fit on this page. Good morning. A little late today. I slept in, I guess, a little bit. Nothing extreme, but I haven't done that in a while. I blame the excess of carbs over the last couple of days. Happy Saturday. It's the most Saturday of the days of the week. Well, I'm just paying attention to the structure. So, like the first drawing that's up on the book up there is just a drawing of the horse, and then we're looking at the skeleton, and so that's nice to see. So I say, oh, I can see. Okay, that's where the joint is in here, and the shoulder blade and the spine coming up over here. So that's kind of what I'm really paying attention to, because she's very much like a technical artist. She's less focused on, say, the emotion of the horse for these type of drawings. Anyway, these are more about, how does the horse function, how do the limbs form, Yeah, like for me, it's like it's interesting to see that the humerus bone is right here. It's like all up inside the body of the horse. Well, this is the forearm, and this is all the toes down there, or the toe coming down, and that makes a big difference for understanding a horse. Where a dog's humerus would go a little bit lower. Or like the pelvis here, how the bone sticks out the back, the pubic bones, or not the pubic bones, the so yeah, so that's kind of the helpful thing for me, is like really seeing the anatomy, and then I've been working on my own little creature designs and things, and so kind of seeing this structure in here is also kind of helped me go back and kind of revise those a little bit to pay attention to their structure, even though I'm trying to make them more alien. Just kind of being aware of how the structure actually works helps me make better choices, I think, about the changes I do make. Yeah, so those things help. I think help me out a lot, and it's always worth. It's also always just worth paying attention to people that are really expert at something, who have created things that have impacted the culture too. So like Terryl Whitlatch, she's most famous for her design for probably Jar Jar Binks. She didn't do his voice, but she designed a lot of the creatures and things for Star Wars prequels, and probably other films as well, other Star Wars films as well, in the more contemporary era. But she also worked on major films, doing designing a lot of creatures for a lot of movies. And her big thing is really trying to make them believable. In the sense that they feel like they could exist as like a real biological organism. So a lot of people, when they're designing creatures, they're more mythological. Like there's no way that such a creature could really walk around and survive and propagate its species, etc. Whereas she tries to design them in such a way that they are. They have that aspect to their existence, that there's a reason why they have the structures they have. There's reasons why they look the way they look, that they go beyond the narrative needs of a script. And I think that adds a lot of verisimilitude, word of the day, to her work. And so that often has a level of impact that's just hard to get otherwise. Yeah. The other thing, of course, doing any kind of master studies, it gets you into the mind of that master. So, like, I've done paintings at the Met in New York, and at the Hispanic Society, of painters who I generally respect. So I have an easel, and I go in those museums and I set up and get to work, and it's a really interesting experience. Oh, good morning. So, yeah, so I think, yeah, it's helpful for me. And plus, I bought all these art books and I want to put them to good use over the years. And I have, at different points, used them for somewhat similar purposes. But, yeah, so definitely helps me. And it's definitely something I recommend to students and everybody really is pay attention to the masters of any craft. Good morning. try and squeeze in these smaller drawings that are on this page on here as well. Good morning, everybody. Is anybody working on any studies themselves? Yeah, I apologize for the late arrival. Normally I like to get up between like 5:30 and 6 a.m. Woke up at like 6:40. My dog looking at me in a very serious face. It's like, I am going to explode if we do not get on the road soon. Would prefer. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, head's getting in the way. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Appreciate the likes. I'm gonna try to keep my head out of the way. I'm gonna push this up and angle that camera up a little bit more. Good morning. Good morning. What do you think, Bosch? Checking out the window, huh? Yeah. Good morning. There's always fun to be had in the past, right? Yeah, running a little bit behind this morning. I slept in. I think too many leftover carbs from Thursday. Finished off some pie and muffins and things yesterday. Probably should have just tossed them because definitely don't need them. But it's that time of year, I guess. And we're getting our first real cold day today, so it's a high of, well, a low of 24 this morning, so that's below freezing, so like -2 or something, I think, on the Celsius scale. So nice and brisk this morning. Okay, that's your Mediterranean climate, right? Good morning, people popping in and out. It's not normal. I have no idea what's normal in Greece, obviously. I'd like to. I did the processed my those comic pages yesterday on Photoshop to get rid of the blue lines and all of that. So I think I'm going to take a chunk this afternoon and get them all flatted while I'm watching a movie or something, because that won't be interesting at all, I think, to anybody. Me just tracing out shapes for a couple hours. Good morning. I see. Well, that's usually the case, right? Specialists tend to care about the particularities of their circumstances, as are the locals. Though I always like the story of some explorers or trappers or hunters or something in early colonial America, and they went up to one of the Indians and said, "What do you think the winter's going to be like? What do you anticipate? What do you forecast for our winter?" And he looks around, gives a very thoughtful response. Says, "It will be very, very cold. It will be a very, very cold winter." And they say, "Oh, well, how do you know that?" And he says, "Because the white man built a big wood pile." So, there's always that. Nose, right? The nose knows. I always thought that was a good story. Just saying. Like, what do I know? I don't know. See what's going on around me. Maybe that'll give me some clues, but It's out the window, Bosch. Very focused. What tools is this? Is a pen nib. It's a Hunt 102 nib that I'm dipping into some ink. So it's a dip pen. It's kind of a traditional inking nib, crow quill pen nib. There's other ones out there, of course, too. This one's known for having a certain kind of flexibility to it that lets you get very, very sharp lines, and then some heavier lines as well, like that. So it has a range of expression built within it. It's really common for that comic book inking. It's kind of the traditional one. Well, you have to dip it. So I've got a thing of ink down here that I fill up occasionally. You dip it in there, and then it fills up to a certain amount, and then you draw with it. If you draw backwards, though, it will spatter, which has happened to me a few times. So I was not being careful, but it's good for practicing. And so as part of like my studies, I usually like to kind of multiply them. So I have something in addition to what I'm looking at in terms of the book. I'm looking at like this tool or similar tools, like bring out a brush or something like that. And it's called the Hunt 102. It's made by Speedball, which is a company that makes ink and other pen tools. Yeah, I guess we'll see where that goes, right? Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the daily habit of posting an actual post, and then the trick is having to process them all through Nightshade, which is an anti-AI tool. So it's just extra steps, and then of course there's all these new social media platforms that everybody's jumping all over, and so I'm kind of got it set up on my desktop so I can post all of them very, very quickly. And so it makes it a little bit easier for me to manage, but it's like a little bit more effort than it used to be, and so it's just kind of annoying. I have to go through these extra steps to do a post. But I want to, I think it's, I want to take advantage of these tools, but not be taken advantage of. And so I want to have a healthy relationship, or at least a one-sided on my side relationship with the available options out there. So, yeah, so I've kind of got a process and a time kind of set apart for that on the daily to work on that. See about the video stuff. I have a feeling that the people that make the glaze and nightshade tools for dealing with AI, I think they're working on a video thing, because they mentioned that they're coming out with 2 new tools during Lightbox recently. Had different names, and so I'm wondering if they're kind of video related. Which would be great, if I want to post any kind of short videos or things that, time lapses or whatever. Kind of made me thinking about the book, The Art Spirit by Robert Henry. He talks about, as a student, that really, it's up to the student to take advantage of the situation that they're in. Are they being used by their school, or are they using their school to develop themselves? And really, they're supposed to be using the school to develop themselves, not the other way around. And it's often up to the student to really sort that out. But it's hard to do that, if you haven't been through that experience before. And so, similar with the social media thing, it's one thing to want to do things or have things happen a certain way. It's another to kind of start pushing it out there again. And it keeps getting more complicated, and I preferred it when it was much simpler, because they've got all these other things that they've got going on in them that I don't know how much they really add to the experience of engaging with other people and other interests, or even just businesses and things through that medium. Alright, let's see if we can squeeze in these little horse sketches in here too. Finish off this page. So I got a whole page up here, so I want to fit in these guys. I might be jumping into a bunch of 3D stuff soon, because I've got my little production list and for my portfolio Bramble project, and 3D is definitely kind of big in that category of things I want to take advantage of more. Yeah, I've done that before. Like, so normally I've been kind of, I guess, overeating a little bit, but I've been on a high-fat, low-carb diet for most of the last several, I don't know, 10 years or so. And it made a really big difference when I lived in Hong Kong. I got down to pretty much my, the BMI ideal body weight, body mass indicator, body weight for me. And coming back to the United States, I kind of increased my portion size, which I should not have done, right? Because it's really easy to do in the United States is eat too much food. We have the simultaneous problem of too much available food and food that is very, very tasty that's also not very good for you. You can get plenty of good food too. It's just it's so easy to overeat here. Which is all my fault, it's just me. But yeah, I found that when I'm kind of focused on that lower carb thing, I can lose weight really fast. It's just this time of year is a little bit of a challenge because you're around family and they don't necessarily care about that. And it's very easy to just say, oh, okay, I'll just eat whatever everybody else is eating, and then eat too much of it. So it's like, I just don't. I generally speaking don't have, unhealthy food in the house. So it's all meat and vegetables. But yeah. So there's plenty of things to disagree with, like that Kennedy fellow who's been all over the news. But he's definitely right about how we eat really unhealthily. That's but he's not the only one that's ever talked about that. But there's a lot of things they put in the food here that shouldn't be there, I think, and causes problems for people. Yeah, it's just portion size. Got to cut down on that portion size. Again, that's all on me. So it helps to work a lot with the art stuff, as it kind of keeps me from heading down to the kitchen too often. So drawing is part of my diet. Because I lost, moving here to Virginia from Florida, I kind of focused on it for the first couple months and lost 20 pounds really fast. And then we had some family events that have kind of settled down a lot, which is great, but kind of threw my focus off a lot for the last year. So I don't think I've gained back everything I've lost, but look forward to kind of focusing my efforts now. Yeah, so, but I definitely I like the whole high fat thing, because it it really does keep you from getting hungry. I don't, when I'm on it properly, I don't get hungry. I will feel drained, I'll feel like I lack energy, but I'm not hungry, which is very interesting. But I slept in today, and I think that was because I brought home some potatoes and pie and biscuits and things from my sister's place on Thursday, and I should have just immediately thrown all that in the trash when I got home, but I did not. And so I think that kind of hit me hard last night when I was sleeping. So I slept in about an hour later than I normally do, and had a slow start this morning. Well, yeah, it's the holidays, right? I've always thought the best attitude about it is when you do go off of your focus or whatever, enjoy whatever it is you're doing, and then go back to the other thing that you also enjoy doing. The other thing I found too is when I'm properly eating and all that, I tend to have a lot more energy. I tend to feel a lot better. Super focused, non-stop, wanting to get the work done. It was something I noticed the first time I did it, way back in 2012. I guess it was 12 years ago when I started doing this. Still living in the United States, and I was tired all the time. Like I would eat lunch or breakfast or whatever and immediately start falling asleep, like all the time. I was like, this doesn't sound very good. And I looked it up and it's like, it could be, the potential for diabetes, right? Kind of coming in. I was definitely overweight. And so I kind of looked around and came across the Primal Blueprint, which is one of the keto approaches, and thought I'd give it a try, and put all of my cereal and macaroni and all that wonderful stuff, I put it away, and just went out and bought meat and veggies, essentially, focusing on the higher fat stuff, and immediately felt a lot better. And it's not for probably it may or may not be for everybody, but I was just thinking eating whole real food is probably better for most of us. But Cheetos are a beautiful thing. What can I say? But yeah, I stuck to that for a while. It was a little harder when I first moved to Hong Kong, but then once I kind of got the groceries all figured out where everything was at and what to buy there, just because it was a different country. It wasn't that big of a deal, but it just took me a while to settle in. But I went from it was 220 pounds to about 155, 157 in about a year and a half, 2 years. So it's definitely doable. People like that Mediterranean diet, right? That's a California thing. Yeah, well, if you're sitting in a taxi, it's easy to sit there and snack, right? You park next to stop by a gas station multiple times a day and grab whatever snacks you got there in Italy that are different. Probably got your Pringles over there and potato chips and things, but and here you actually Costco makes it easy to shop relatively healthily, because they don't just have bulky chips and things. They've got really good cuts of meat and fish and all that stuff. Like if you want high fat macadamia nuts or coconut oil, which is super high fat, that's all available and relatively inexpensive there. Like that's the hardest part of the whole keto thing is getting enough fat to get the ketosis started. So even if you're eating what you think are really high fat foods, there's still probably more protein in them than fat, and really need the fat intake to get it going, get the fires burning, and that's where the trick is. And so I found like the easiest way to do that was with the coconut oil, just adding some of that to coffee. It doesn't have a strong flavor. It is very oily, but it's not, it doesn't taste really like coconuts very strongly. Yeah, so I'm probably only going to do the horse stuff then. I'm going to do the expression stuff today just for sake of time. And I did do the filling out the whole page today, not just the main drawings. That finishes off page 108. We've got like I think 42 pages left in this book. I think it's 150 pages. Wait, I started this book back in September. Hello, Antavine. Catching me right here pretty much at the end for this morning's study session. I forgot to write the date on there. What day did I start this book? I started this. There's day 1, September 9th. So that's when I started this book. The last page. So here's the previous pages. I think it's like 3 pages: 103, 104, 106. Go through 106 on there. We got 107, which was these 5. And this is 108. So I'm not trying to cover, usually with these morning studies, I set a certain amount of time that I want to do something rather than a certain quantity. Let's see, today's the 30th, right? We're going to put the dates on everything too. I found, after, when you're young and you're kind of new to art, you kind of remember when you've done everything usually. But as you get older, I was like, when did I do these drawings? I knew it was kind of in this time phase, but I don't remember exactly when it was completed. But so it helps to kind of write dates on things, especially. The page number is not quite as important, just keeps me on track. Yeah, we've got. Let's see, last page is 159. All right, so more than 150, but so 50 pages left, basically. So probably another month or so working with this book. So it's been a good way to spend the semester, and it's taking a little bit longer because I am inking it. So what I was doing before is I was sketching with a ballpoint pen, and just using that as my finished drawing. And then I thought it'd be a good idea to just get some mileage with the Hunt 102 and other pen nibs like these, or this one. I like this one quite a bit too. And so it takes a little bit more time, but I think it's worth the effort. So, but again, thanks everybody that came in. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next time, or later, probably today.